prompted protests about racial inequities in American society, including police brutality. Amid this dialogue, it is shocking to see images of police abusing their power against peaceful citizens exercising their constitutional rights, and then to hear officials deny the violence that we saw with our own eyes. On Monday, U.S. Park Police cleared Lafayette Park in front of the White House, where mostly peaceful protesters and news media had gathered. If you look here, you see an officer attacking, unprovoked, an Australian news crew that was broadcasting live, doing its job peacefully. You see an officer hitting the cameraman twice with his shield. And then, as the crew begins to run, another officer hits them with a baton. The Park Police Union responded to this shocking video by claiming that the crew, quote, may have fallen, and they blamed a, quote, lack of readily identifiable journalist markings. But we can see what happened with our own eyes. That's clearly not true. Outraged, the Australian government called for an investigation into the incident. The two officers have now been placed on administrative duties. In Buffalo, New York on Thursday, a 75-year-old man was violently knocked over by an officer and left bleeding on the sidewalk as officers stormed by. Again, this police department's first instinct was to lie. They claimed the man, quote, tripped and fell. But with video evidence outraging the public, the department admitted the facts. And two officers were suspended without pay and now have been charged with assault in the second degree. The prosecutor saying that most police are honorable and professional, but he's just doing his job, noting that he's also prosecuting 39 protesters. In Philadelphia, a college student was arrested for allegedly pushing an officer off a bicycle, according to the student's attorney. But here's the video. The college kid is the young man with the long ponytail and the Eagles jersey. He seems to be trying to separate a policeman and a protester. Then he tries to get away. And then he is viciously beaten. He needed 10 staples and 10 sutures in his head. The officer now faces charges of aggravated assault and more. Now, of course, there are anarchists and criminals committing horrific acts of violence, and we have reported on them, and we will continue to. But their crimes do not excuse other crimes. And frankly, the American people have a higher standard of behavior for police officers who work for us to keep us safe and are essentially given a license to kill. What are the American people to make of these images of officers brutally beating peaceful journalists and protesters and then lying about it? It makes people wonder, where would we be if that brave 17-year-old girl in Minneapolis had not filmed the murder of George Floyd? Would Minneapolis police be denying it? One might expect the incidents we witnessed would have drawn condemnation from fellow officers. But instead, in Buffalo, 57 officers resigned from that tactical team in solidarity with the Buffalo cops who were criminally charged. Those cops were even applauded as they left the courthouse. In Philadelphia, cops are said to be contemplating calling in sick tomorrow with the blue flu. It's inexplicable. Many Americans want to believe these images of a police force, officers who are honest and part of the community, that these images are representative. But because of the prevalence of cell phone cameras, we are now all able to see the abuse with our own eyes. In just these 3 cases this week, we know the claims from the police departments and the unions, the initial claims, were a lie. Why would any decent police officer stand with that? Before we go today, a little joy to brighten your Sunday. We want to welcome the newest member of the State of the Union.